I'll start with this. I'm just going to start with the stuff that we'll go right to the heart of it, because we're having conversations with people all week about employee engagement, because that's my chosen where I dance, or at least inside that space. And so we're going to ask people about what's your best engagement strategy or tip. I know you will come at that completely different. So let's start there. When people come and say, Sai, how do I fix engagement? You say what?
I say grow accountability. Hire, coach, retain, recognize, only accountability. Accountability is the holy grail. High accountables choose to be engaged. High accountables know engagement's a choice. So half your battle's won with engagement if you're employing high accountables, because the sweet spot is when an incredible organization meets high accountables, they engage easily, and you can just surprise and delight them all day long. And so it's all about accountability, not engagement.
Got it. So, but engagement isn't bad.
No, I love
it. It's just the focus is the wrong.
High accountables.
Right.
And you know what that's based on, right?
Yeah.
So the same behavior can't please a low accountable and a high accountable at the same time.
Right.
So I started life as a therapist, and you're always going to be ticking off somebody. If you have the addict mad at you, you're doing great.
Right.
And so for people to say, I'm going to do X and engage everyone, it's a fallacy. Because if I hold incredibly high standards, I'll tick off the low accountables. If I lower my standards to please the low accountables, I'll tick off the high accountables who know it's doable. And that's really the key. So you're always going to have somebody upset at you. You just need to make sure it's the right people that are upset.
Got it. Okay, so one of the questions that we love to get into, and I think this is, I think you just hit on this a little bit, but how did we get, or how did we get off track so far, I guess, on engagement? Because
it's a great thing.
Right? We've been talking about, like, it's important, we know it's good, we know it's something that we want.
And
where did we go off?
You know, my people are completely spoiled.
Right.
My people, you know, they just tell me what they need, and we get it for them. It's like no questions asked. Where we got off track, I think, is engagement's great. We over-rotated to engagement. It's easy to sell in the vendor hall. The surveys are easy. You feel like you're doing something. But engagement without accountability creates entitlement.
Sure.
And that's where everybody is seeing it. And where we got off track is people are using leadership as kind of a workaround, and it's a pretty codependent workaround. So instead of calling people to greatness and sharing accountability, we try to use leadership to overcompensate. And as somebody with a psych background, I can't make you feel a certain way.
Right.
Happiness is a choice. I can't even inspire or motivate you.
Right.
I give the same talk to 1,000 people. Some leave motivated, some not.
Right.
Same talk. It's not my talk that can motivate. And that's where we took what is internally driven through one's own evolution, and we put it to the responsibility of the external environment and the leaders.
Yeah. Well, and I love that. I think, and that's one thing I learned from you long ago, is so many organizations took engagement, and I think a lot of managers misinterpreted what was being asked, and so it was like, well, engagement is I need to keep my people happy all the time, so whatever they ask for I need to give to them, so sometimes you're feeding the right people, sometimes you're feeding the wrong people. You don't always lead to performance.
And we're finding such big differences in our research on accountability. So when it comes to change, people who are high in accountability are scared when change is not happening. People low in accountability are scared when change is happening. And there's so many times that leaders come to believe that engagement and accountability are mutually exclusive. So they're scared to call somebody to greatness because they don't want their engagement to go down.
Right.
And that's where it gets so dysfunctional.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Instead of doing what I know is right ethically and morally for our planet and for the customer and for, our world, I put that vision and mission aside and do what my people won't get upset about. Now it's a very externally driven environment, and the real game's won when you're evolving internally.
Right. Got it. Okay, one last question. It's a question I'm excited to ask people all week, because I love railing against management, and especially against traditional management. So what is like if there's one management practice or one management approach or something that we have out there that you would love to see go extinct in 2019, what would it be?
Well, it's probably bigger than a practice. So I'm going to give you two answers.
Okay.
One, we have got to modernize what we consider the role of leader to be.
Sure.
Leaders aren't here to inspire, motivate, babysit, caretake, even coach. Leaders' job is to eliminate emotional waste, drama from the workplace. And the way you do that, the way you get rid of waste is through a process. And the way you get rid of emotional waste is through a good mental process. So our only job is to help people evolve by understanding that they need to use better mental processes in the workplace. So that's one. The thing I would completely kill tomorrow is the open door policy. When I first heard, so I was a therapist and I went to leadership boot camp. They're like, keep an open door. And I'm like, well, that sounds boundaryless.
Yeah.
And you mean anybody can come by at any time and commission all these resources?
Yeah.
With just like their signature authority is $50, and they can take an hour of your time. I'm like, how did this happen?
Right.
So it'd be the open door policy. It's not that I don't want people to be approachable, but I actually did some study on this. The average, hey, do you have a minute? Lasts 45 minutes in length.
Yeah.
Typical conversations, venting, tattling, scorekeeping, things that never happen, things that never will happen.
Yeah.
And a typical conclusion is, I just wanted you to know, please don't do anything.
Yeah.
So I tell leaders that you have to share accountability. People come to you with unprocessed work. Your inclination is to process it and act on it. So when people say, Sai, do you have a minute? I actually say to them, yes. Do you have an S-bar? And it's a tool we give in the No Ego book. And S-bar is a template that you pre-process your work, and then we'll talk. We'll share in the accountability. You come having reflected, analyzed, critically thought, talk to the people you need to talk to, and then come and we jointly share accountability and work on the real issue. And so the one thing I wish people would do is stop the venting.
Stop the
open door. It's just a portal for drama. It's just a place for people to come vent.
Okay, so I lied. I'm going to take one more question because the open door, it makes me think of, like, I just saw a headline this morning, or it was yesterday, Inc. magazine, and the headline was, it's official, the open office plan is the dumbest management fad ever. And
we're finally killing it.
You know, but I'm thinking about, like, that's, you know, when you think about it, there's a lot of reasons I don't like open office plans. I've worked in them. There's a lot of reasons, but it strikes me that it is a boundaryless kind of environment suddenly, and I would assume that. Do you find, has it been your experience that it's harder to manage and eliminate the drama and the emotional waste in an open office environment versus a traditional?
Here's what I would tell you. It's if your people don't already have boundaries, if your people are unevolved and not ready for what's next, then it will be difficult to manage because an open office just exposes the drama.
Right.
And so if my people have boundaries, so in my company, if you can be interrupted, you have an earbud. If you can't, you have noise canceling on. People have boundaries. People are mobile. There's spaces where you can go get privacy, do podcasts, take calls. People are responsible for their own comfort. Most people have said, organizations, it's your job to keep me comfortable. I'm like, well, make your comfort portable.
Got it.
If you need a quiet work environment, go do that. So we actually did a study on, with an organization, they're moving to open environment. And we asked them 3 months into it, the employees, how they liked it, how hard it was.
Right.
And we found that it wasn't the change that was hard, it was only hard for the unready.
Sure.
Now, we tested readiness, how technically savvy people were, how good they were at setting their own boundaries, taking care of themselves to find quiet places. The people that were ready didn't see it as a challenge.
Got it.
We say it doesn't work, and we confuse the change as the problem.
Right.
Instead of, we tried it with unready, unevolved people.
Right.
And no matter what you try with people who are in victim minds, it won't work. There'll be a new headline next year and the year after that anything we tried didn't work. Right. Because we don't ask the people to step up, and we should be able to roll out anything that people can make work, so that our discussion is it ideal? Right. Not that it officially was a horrible idea.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Good or bad? It does. I love but I think underneath that is like that whole idea of being able to manage boundaries, being ready. it's still back about the people, not the
It's about
environment.
the people, and I'm not blaming the victims. A lot of people will be like, "You're blaming." I'm not, but you are responsible to, Well, I can't work in an open environment. I'm an introvert.
Right.
So am I.
Right.
So an evolved introvert says, "This is great," and now I'm going to go find a telephone booth
Right.
and do my work.
Right.
And so, the sweet spot is when you are taking accountability for your own comfort. And I, as an organization, care a lot to make that as easy as possible.
Got it.
And that's the sweet spot. I love engagement. We've just over-rotated.
For sure.
And it's not sustainable. It's never ending. If I'm responsible for your attention span, given your environment as a leader,
Right.
and I've got 200 people, they have to manage everyone. I have to walk around making sure nobody laughs or burps or
Eats a stinky salad at their desk. Yeah.
And that's where I'm just calling people up. Our potential is unlimited, but we've got to start understanding that it is about our own drama, the stories we tell, our view of the world. And if we're viewing the world through ego, we're always insulted and offended, no matter what happens. If we're in high level of consciousness, our environment becomes less and less important because we're in the zone doing great work.
And this is hard work. I mean, and I've known for years, I mean, you teach from personal experience, and I think part of the challenge when we have people come to the workplace is we're not good at accountability in our relationships with the people closest to in our lives. So then we show up at work and everything goes to hell. So.
And I'm hearing a lot of people say, "Sai, I want to bring my whole self to work," and I love authenticity. You know that we've worked together. I'm like, bring it on. But when people go, "Sai, I want to bring my whole self to work," I'm like, please do not do that. Just bring your most evolved self to work.
Right.
And by the way, bring your most evolved self home.
Yeah.
And that's why I feel good about the 20 years I've put into this career is I get email after email after email, people saying, "Yeah, this helped at work, but it made a big difference at home." And, it's kind of like therapy for all, right?
It is.
If you want to be happy, work on your own evolution.
It's great stuff. Thank you.
It's always a pleasure,
Thank you.
Jason.
Right?
You just want to